Hey everyone! We are working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy the content and it is your first time here, please hit that subscribe button right now as we proceed. Subscribe to this channel right now because the Blue Jays news cycle is moving at a pace that demands daily attention, and today's video contains 3 separate storylines that each individually would justify their own dedicated breakdown. We have a genuine trade report that names specific teams and specific parameters surrounding Eric Lowour's future in Toronto. We have a health revelation from Jose Berios that reframes everything you thought you understood about his 2025 struggles. And we have Kazuma Okamoto hitting a 431-foot laser to dead center field in his second spring training game that should have every Blue Jays fan doing a double take and immediately upgrading their offensive expectations for what this man is about to do to American League pitching. 3 stories. All of them significant. All of them connected to the larger picture of how this roster gets assembled heading into opening day and what it looks like when it finally takes the field for real. So let us get into every piece of it without wasting a single second, because there is a lot to cover and all of it matters. Let us start with the trade report, because insider Mitch Bannon has dropped information that advances the Eric Lowour conversation from the realm of speculation into something considerably more concrete. The core of Bannon's report is straightforward and consistent with everything that has been building through the early days of spring training. The difference of opinion between Eric Lowour and the Blue Jays front office over his role could end up resolving itself through a trade rather than through an internal accommodation that satisfies neither party fully. That is not a shocking conclusion given what Lowour has said publicly and what the roster construction reality suggests about his path to consistent starts in Toronto. But here is where Bannon's reporting advances the story in meaningful ways. He names the Minnesota Twins and the Atlanta Braves as specifically suitable fits for a Lowour trade, and the reasoning behind both destinations is rooted in real and documentable circumstances rather than generic roster-matching speculation. The Twins have already absorbed pitching injuries early in their preparation for the season. When a rotation-dependent organization loses arms before spring training is even complete, the urgency around acquiring dependable starting pitching moves from a background priority to an active front office conversation very quickly. And Eric Lowour, despite everything surrounding his role frustration and arbitration disappointment, is an objectively attractive trade target for a team in exactly that situation. A 3.18 ERA across 104 innings last year. A 3.77 ERA as a starter specifically. A left-handed pitcher with genuine big league experience, the ability to go multiple innings in a variety of roles, and a contract that pays him $4.4 million, a number that became that low specifically because the Blue Jays won the arbitration case. Minnesota getting a pitcher of Lowour's caliber at that salary while addressing an urgent rotation need is a transaction that makes organizational sense before you even start discussing what Toronto receives in return. The Braves' dimension follows similar logic. Atlanta has dealt with their own pitching health concerns and possesses the kind of organizational depth that makes trading for proven major league pitching an option rather than a luxury. But the Twins feel like the more urgent and therefore more actionable fit, and that is where the most interesting part of Bannon's report lands. He identifies potential names from Minnesota's side of the ledger that could make their way back to Toronto in a Lowour deal, and while these are not confirmed conversations, they represent the kind of informed speculation that serious roster analysts engage in when the underlying logic of a trade destination is genuinely sound. Cody Stashak, a lefty who posted a 3.51 ERA in 39 games last year at 29 years old and who might be available because the Twins carry a surplus of left-handed relievers, is one name that the Blue Jays would find interesting given the ongoing need to deepen their bullpen behind the established core. Justin Topa, 34 years old but coming off genuinely solid back-to-back seasons with a 3.90 ERA across 54 appearances and 4 saves last year, represents another option, an experienced, dependable late-inning arm who has proven he can handle high-leverage situations. Neither name individually constitutes a steal that makes the trade obvious from the Jays' perspective. But the principle of the transaction, trading Lowour's surplus starting value for bullpen depth that addresses a genuine roster gap, is fundamentally sound in a way that becomes even more logical the moment Max Scherzer's signing is finalized and Lowour's path to consistent starts in Toronto becomes essentially non-existent. And here is the broader architecture that ties everything together with a clarity that makes the domino sequence almost inevitable. The Blue Jays sign Scherzer. Scherzer enters the rotation. Lowour's role shrinks to a point he has publicly said he finds unacceptable. The Twins have pitching injuries and a genuine need. Toronto gets a bullpen piece and potentially a prospect. Scherzer mentors the young arms. The bullpen is deeper and more reliable heading into a long season where Garcia will be delayed and depth will matter enormously. Every individual piece of that chain is currently in motion. The only variable is timing, and spring training is proceeding in a direction that makes the resolution of this situation before opening day increasingly likely rather than increasingly uncertain. Now let us turn to Jose Berios, because what he revealed following his first spring training outing is the kind of information that fundamentally changes how you evaluate his 2025 season and, more importantly, what you should expect from him heading into 2026. He told reporters, and the quote deserves to be absorbed slowly, that at this time last year he already had doubt in his mind about his elbow. He pitched through what he subsequently learned in September was a bicep tendon issue. He is now healthy. He said if it is 100%, he is back. Think about what that means when you overlay it onto the 4.17 ERA and the 14-plus home runs surrendered that made his 2025 look like a pitcher in decline or a pitcher who had lost something fundamental about what made him effective. He had not lost anything. He was pitching hurt, pitching through doubt, pitching while his body was providing signals that something was wrong without giving him the specific diagnosis that would have explained the inconsistency and perhaps led to different roster decisions. A pitcher throwing through a bicep tendon issue is not throwing the same baseball as a healthy version of that pitcher. The velocity down to 90 miles per hour in his first spring training outing was explained by the cold weather, but the context of his health revelation makes the number feel less concerning and more like a body that is ramping up correctly and safely rather than one that is producing warning signs. If Berios comes into this season fully healthy and with the specific kind of confidence that comes from finally knowing what was wrong and knowing it has been addressed, the 4.17 ERA becomes a floor rather than a ceiling. And a healthy Berios in a rotation with Gausman and Cease is a significantly more formidable picture than the one that dominated the conversation during the back half of last year. The health context also refines the Lowour trade calculation in an important way. If Berios is genuinely back and healthy, the rotation's depth improves meaningfully without any external additions. Gausman and Cease anchor everything. A healthy Berios provides legitimate third starter quality. Cody Ponce fills innings while Bieber ramps up. Scherzer arrives in April or May to add veteran depth and mentorship. And a healthy Savage, managed carefully to avoid the overwork concerns that informed this winter's development discussions, rounds out a rotation that is genuinely competitive across its entire depth. In that scenario, Lowour is not just slightly expendable. He is the player whose trade value is highest precisely because his surplus to the rotation has been definitively established, and whose departure allows the organization to address the bullpen need without sacrificing any meaningful starting quality. And now let us celebrate Kazuma Okamoto, because the man deserves a proper celebration after what he produced in his second spring training game. 431 feet to dead center field. Read that again. 431 feet, and he went down and away to get there, which means he did not get a pitch he could yank to the pull side and let the natural leverage of his swing add distance. He went the other way through the middle of the field and still hit the ball 431 feet. After the home run, his first as a Blue Jay, he said he was glad to get the first one out of the way and that seeing his teammates' reaction made him want to hit more. That is the language of a player who is comfortable, who is settled, who has found the environment he needs to perform at his best, and who is already developing the kind of internal motivation that sustains production across a long and grinding major league season. John Schneider has been present throughout his daily workouts. George Springer and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. have been building a genuine friendship with him according to multiple reporters in camp. The organizational investment in making Okamoto feel like a Blue Jay from day one has been visible and deliberate and appears to be paying dividends in exactly the way the organization hoped it would when they signed him. If he can produce even 70 to 80% of what Bichette brought offensively while also providing the defensive reliability at third base that the analytics suggest he is capable of, the hole left by the departure of a franchise cornerstone gets filled in ways that will satisfy even the most skeptical observers by July. Eloy Jimenez adding another hit in his most recent spring outing and receiving this explicit endorsement from John Schneider, who said he believes Jimenez is genuinely healthy for the first time in years and that he is in tremendous shape, completes a picture of a spring training camp that is generating significantly more positive energy than the early injury news and rotation drama might have suggested was coming. The pieces are moving. The trades are being discussed. The players are performing. And the Blue Jays are looking increasingly like a roster that is going to be formidable, deep, and dangerous when the games actually start to matter. Now drop your voice in the comments immediately. Do you want to see the Eric Lowour trade to the Twins happen? Does Berios' health revelation change your expectations for what he delivers in 2026? And how far do you think Okamoto's first regular season home run is going to travel? Give us your best guess in the comments, smash that like button, subscribe to this channel so you do not miss a single development as spring training continues to deliver, and share this video with every Blue Jays fan you know. The season is almost here, and it is setting up to be something genuinely special. Let us go Blue Jays.